What is happening, everybody? Happy New Year to you. Welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Weekly, the first one of the new year. Don't worry, I promise you, Brant Fowler will be here. And we're going to have a great discussion today. But for right now, I have Kat Kamakuno by my side. How you doing, Kat?
I'm doing well. I'm just tired, man. You think for the holidays, you're just like, you caught up on all your sleep, but it's just like, no, all that 2 weeks of work that you were off, now you just do it all in one day. But other than that, I'm doing well. I'm happy that we had comics come out pretty
Yeah,
much every week. Even I will
yeah.
say the next coming week, this tomorrow's books aren't like too exciting, but they're still like,
There's
I'm
not a
still getting
lot,
like eight or
but there's
nine
not a
books.
lot. There's not a
Yeah.
lot. Last week there was a lot. Like I think I read 20 books last week. I think it was
Oh
around there.
God. Let me
Yeah,
see how much I
and
read.
it was kind of good like in a way because uh while the 2 weeks was going on for Christmas and New Year's, I didn't really make any videos. I did like a whole video and then I did a few shorts. But that was like it. You know what I'm saying? So it was nice to just actually read the comics, and I
Take a little
actually
break.
though did not finish the week before's comics yet. I still have like those 10 comics to read. So I
That
have
was
to
a lot
actually,
too.
yeah,
Those are a
like
lot of big books.
I didn't read the last issue of the Justice League thing with Nightwing and all that shit.
Oh,
So there's some of them that I have to actually still read. So yeah, it's gonna be crazy. But yeah, I want to welcome the people that are joining us. Once
I see
Brant
some new
jump,
names too.
yeah, once Brant jumps on here, we're gonna get started with our main topic, I think, and then we'll dive into comic books. We have Ryan on here, so welcome, Tevia. Michael's like, "What's up, guys?" Willie's like, "What's up?" I'm still
But he's
sort of
tired.
sleepy. Okay, that's fine. David says hi, guys. Tevia says hello. Comicverse says hello. He's on my Facebook group, and Willie is here as well. Happy New Year, Tevia. So we're getting a New Year to Tevia there. Tevia has been here forever.
He has. He's been
Yeah.
here since the beginning. I don't remember a time when Tevye was not watching our show. So thank you for watching. It's cool that I got to meet you last year now. Oh, we got a comment here. This is Patrick who says, I'm a new subscriber. I just started watching your videos in December. So very soon. Very recent. And I really appreciate your opinions. Thank you for the content you provide for the comic book community. You're awesome. There
Yeah,
you go.
that's awesome. That's really good. Great
Thanks for
stuff.
watching this show too, and branching out. We do this every Tuesday, so yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy that.
Yep, absolutely. And I think it's going to be a good year. There's going to be a lot of stuff that we're going to be talking about, obviously, and I'm sure in the future it's going to be good. It's going to be bad. It's going to be a mix of stuff in between. And we also have Parker Luck. He says, "What's that, Matt Bird? What's up with you guys reading for the last week of 2022 and Happy New Year?"
So you're
Uh,
asking if we did read it? Oh, I mean that's this week's books that we're going to talk about, so that's going to
Yeah,
be
we're
fun.
yeah, we're gonna be talking about that. We're just waiting for Brant to come back on so he can get involved with our conversation. But I'm gonna ask Kat, what did you get anything special for the holidays?
Oh man, I gotta think. I actually did. I got a autographed Spider-Man uh pop. That was Tom Holland. So that was pretty
Oh,
cool.
that's
Tom
cool.
Holland. Yeah, so that was pretty nice. Other than that, I mean, that was pretty big. So that was great. I mentioned beforehand, my friend Phil, who's also my business partner, he took me out to a Broadway show, and we went the day before New Year's Eve, stupidly, and we got a flat tire that day. So we always have an adventure together. But that was really nice and really thoughtful. So did that. Went out to dinner with one of my other friends for Christmas. And still, I have a couple more people that I need to celebrate with, and it's just coordinating time. So Christmas is not even over, and it's January 3rd, but still have some more celebrating to do. How about you? How was your holidays?
So
Anything special?
it's kind of funny. It's like me and my wife really don't get each other anything. Like I still do. Like she's like, don't get me anything. We don't need to spend money on each other, blah, blah, blah. I guess that's kind of what you get as you're married almost 20 years. And
Run out
it's
of
just like,
ideas at that point.
you spend it on the kids, and it's just like we're at that point where we can buy whatever we want whenever we want.
Yeah.
But I like Christmas because I like the element of surprise. You know
Oh
what I'm
yeah.
saying? So I wound up getting my wife a Lego friend set
Oh,
because
that's
she
fun.
loves Friends. And she wound up getting me like this light. It's not very heavy. This light Marvel hoodie, which I've already worn on screen a couple times. And she's like, "Man, are you really getting use out of that hoodie?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, man, it's good." So I got that, but then my in-laws got me like $150 Visa gift card, and I got a waffle maker, which I tell you what, man, this waffle maker is the shit. It's like it's made by Ninja. It stands straight up and down, right?
Oh
So
wow.
what happens is you pour the batter into it and it cooks it that way. And you then you pull it down once it beeps and
Mm-hmm.
it's ready. I'm like, man, this is great. So I made Belgian waffles the other day, and it was like for breakfast. It was like so good. So
Damn.
yeah, so I got that, and my wife's uh, aunt and uncle gave me their old grill that they had. So basically, I guess you could say I got a new grill also. So that was pretty cool too.
That's always good to get. I love when I get like kitchen stuff because I like to cook. So I'm like, all right. We experimented a lot with different foods during the New Year's. Like when I was little, I used to get these long Asian string beans, and there's an Asian market that opened by my house, and it was so good. I found them again. Like, oh my god, I like it was nostalgic. And then me and my brother made eggplant parmesan wontons, and they were
Oh my
delicious.
god,
It was so good. It was
that's
so good. It was so
crazy.
different. And I was like, oh man, like he's got to experiment sometimes. Like this could be the worst idea or the best idea, and it ended up being so freaking good. It was like crunchy. So I love doing the cooking stuff. We do have a comment from Twitch, which definitely sucks. So they didn't have the best Christmas here. I tested positive for COVID on Christmas. Had to cancel plans with the family. Had to wait until that next week the gift exchange. Yeah, that is definitely not fun.
Yeah, definitely. And then we have a new viewer on here. First time catching it
Oh
live.
yeah.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome. Hopefully, I mean, maybe there's a lot of people on because people haven't gone to work yet or still on
Yeah, they're
vacation
off.
or stuff. So it's good to see you guys on here. So yeah, it's great stuff. Sweet Exorcist is on here as well. Thoughts on this season of Titans? I
I don't
did
think any
not
of us are
watch it.
watching it. Yeah, me either. No watching of Titan. I haven't seen it since I want to say season 2. I think I watched season 2. I know I watched all of season 1.
I have watched one episode.
And that was for this show.
This Friday, when I pick up my new comics, I'm also picking up a copy of Tales of the Teen Titans issue 44. Very happy about that one. Which one is that issue? Tales of Teen Titans issue
I
44.
don't know. Maybe it's a
That
reprint.
Deathstroke? Is that one of the Deathstroke books? Maybe?
Let's look it up.
I
Tales
don't
of
know.
Teen Titans,
Yeah.
issue 44.
If
It
you have an
is,
image, show
yeah, the
me.
Deathstroke. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Judas Contract Part 3. Let me get
Gotcha.
a screen share. All right, guys, if you are curious what Teen Titans issue that is, it's this one. Here's a book preview. If it'll show. There it is.
Yeah, that's cool. Yep, I have that book. It's a good book.
I think we got a couple more comments here.
Yeah, for Nightwing.
Oh, okay. So there you go. That's what thoughts on new upcoming Dawn of DC. That's something we'll definitely talk about with Brant. I think that's going to be a big part of after we talk about this week's comics. We're going to discuss what our expectations for 2023 are. And Dawn of DC is going to be a big one. Then Willie says, my Christmas was fine. Most of the stuff I got was my phone and a couple of clothes. Hey, can't say no to a phone.
We got my kids some phones too this year, so they got
nice.
it good.
They got I'm guessing no iPhones.
No
I know your
iPhones.
iPhone
Not my
negative.
family. I don't have to take iPhone stuff in my family. It's all Google in my family.
I have had the same phone for like 6 years because the battery's still good on it. So I don't want to switch because it's good for me. I do have a crack on my screen though, and it's not that bad, and I've been debating. I'm like, do I want to spend like $100 to get the screen replaced? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that's worth it.
It's kind of funny because it's like almost every 2 years we seem to get phones.
Oh wow,
It,
because you guys
but
don't have iPhones.
it's very important for me because the way I record is off of my phone. So
That's
everything
true. You
I
gotta
do
update
is
your
off my
camera.
phone because I don't have a computer to record. Like if I wanted to, I could edit on my Chromebook, but the problem is it doesn't have no storage for pictures, right? For all the stuff that you download so you can edit, and also for the videos because there's no hard drive in it. Also, when you record, the quality of the recording is not that great. So
Yeah.
eventually I want to get a computer for myself because this computer is my wife's, and then maybe I can do more stuff on the computer. But like I've said a million times before, I just like the accessibility and me being able to travel with it wherever I go, so I can get my stuff done.
I cannot live without my laptop, even though I have the phone. I just don't. I use my phone, but most. Oh, we got a nice super chat. This is from Drew with Comics Elite, $5. Thank you so much. One thing we can expect in 2023 is that Born of Blood will continue to be amazing and one of the best titles in the market. I don't read that one,
so yeah, Drew is obviously with Comics Elite, and he is part of the Born of Blood series, and
very cool.
yeah, and it's he does he goes on he's on the Thinking Critical channel, and they do a live stream every Saturday, and he's actually the one. Now I've never really talked with Drew, but he's the one that actually got me interested in this comic, and when it actually came out into the comic shop, I'm like, I got to read this Born of Blood thing because it reminds me of like 300, you know what I'm saying? Because it's Spartan stuff. And so I was like, I wanted to check this out. And it was like the first issue was very interesting of this, this Spartan princess that actually is going kind of through the trials and tribulations of becoming a Spartan warrior because the king never had a son or whatever it is. It's cool, man. I really like it. I dig it a lot, and I've enjoyed all the issues that have come out. So I'm looking forward to more. So it's really good stuff.
I know it's a Kickstarter book because I know Merc magazine. I just looked up the title. It's like, oh, they're part of Merc, and I know they do a ton of Kickstarters. So that's very cool.
Yeah, I did very well on Kickstarter. So good stuff.
Yeah, that's very, very cool. And yeah, we have, again, so many new people. So thank you. Ask any questions if you have any. I think we're going to buy some more time for about 5 more minutes. And if Brant doesn't come on, I think we're just going to start. I don't know if we should start with the expectation. I guess we would start with expectations 2023. Yeah. So maybe also get your questions ready about 2023 in particular. I know stuff we wanted to cover was DC, where we think it's going to go, Marvel, but also independent comics. So if you want to talk about like Webtoon or Kickstarter or even publishing comics, or for Mike's side, doing YouTube videos, what that looks like in 2023, let us know. We'll do it. Oh, and actually, Brant made perfect timing for that.
Did you wake up late, Brant?
No, I'm slower right now because I'm sick.
Oh, I'm sorry. But see, he's a trooper because he wanted to be on tonight for the first show of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't miss it.
When did you make that tap? Kat and I were like, when did Brant say he was sick, but he's still going to be on?
We didn't know which day it was.
Probably Monday. Yesterday, I guess, because I had said, I told you guys I did my video and I looked and sounded like crap, and I probably would tomorrow too. So I've been sick for a week though.
Oh my God! Yeah. Really? Do you know what you have?
COVID or just sick?
No, it's something called cedar fever here in Texas.
Oh, I remember. Usually.
Yeah. So it's these juniper trees in the mountains that like spread pollen for hundreds of miles, and it's really bad. And I have bad allergies anyway, so I get hit really hard in December. So, yeah.
Well, we were just about to start the topic of what to expect for 2023, right in time for your allergies. And we do have some questions here. So Spinley says, did anyone else spoil themselves with the end of the year comic haul? I might have gone overboard. See, I always get the same things. I just get my weekly comics and go. So I usually don't get too many extras, and I didn't this time. I don't spend a lot on myself.
I go every week. I spoil myself. It's not
you
even,
do.
It's not even a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because Kat and I were talking after the show last week, and we're like, "There's not a lot of big books. There's not going to be a lot of news. We're not going to have a lot to talk about. So if Mike's not here, maybe we just skip." And then I'm like, I think I read over 20 books this week. So it's
well, see, I did too, though.
Yeah.
I did too. I read like 20 books. It was a huge week last week, you know?
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
Bigger than I thought it was. It just wasn't like, big.
Not a lot of big books.
Right. But there were still some really good books, I thought. So we'll talk about that, though.
I personally, for me, I think so. Going into the topic, I think personally for me this year, what I'm going to try to do, again, everything here is trying. Whether it sticks or not is one thing. What I'm going to try to do is not hold on to comics so long or read them to just read them, because there's always a lot more comics.
It's great.
That come out. What's that?
Trust me, it's great. I've been doing it for years, and I love it.
I don't know if I'll get to the point where I'll only buy like 7 comics in 1 week. Right, but
I'll say at least it's 9. I'll give you. It's usually 9 to 12.
But I would want to be consistently at that 12 to 13. I appreciate that, Drew. Thank you so much. I would want to be on that consistent like 13 mark. That's where that would be that's literally the sweet spot for me. So yeah. This way I can digest more. I think I do a pretty good job at digesting the stories and remembering what's going on. But this way I can get a really clear view of what happened each week, instead of kind of forcing it all in there.
Yeah, I was just going to agree with you. I was going to say like 13 to 15 that's a good amount for me.
Right.
And when it's these like 20 plus weeks, it's like, man, I like had to read 5 books right before we came on. So I was like trying to get ready and trying to read and feeling bad. And it was just, so I agree with your like resolution, if you want to call it that. So.
I feel like 12 is nice. I think when I get 8 to 9, I always feel like, oh man, there's not that many books and I read it really quickly. But when I get to like that 12 or 13, I'm usually pretty happy because it's a nice speed. We did have Tevia ask, what is your most anticipated comics of 2023 for the big 2? I did a whole video on it on Comic but like to give I actually wrote it down, that way I remembered and I didn't delete it because I was like, I know we're doing this show, so I didn't want to. From Marvel and DC, I won't spoil the whole video, but we'll talk about Dawn of DC, but I think there's some interesting books there. We'll talk about Action Comics, so we'll talk more about the Superman issue 1. They tease for that. I'm excited for Green Arrow just because we haven't gotten it in such a long time. And from the indies, I'm excited for Betty Final Girl, man. I love Final Girls. Love it. I haven't read Archie in a while. Ranger Academy, I think it's going to be a fun book. And then Black Cloak, I'm really excited for. That's the new Kelly Thompson book. Well, new. It's been on Substack, but I really love Kelly Thompson. I feel like I haven't read Kelly Thompson in a while because she's been focusing on Substack.
I think I think independent comic books had its strongest year in 2022. Mm-hmm. I really did. I think 2021 was a strong year and it went into 22 stronger, and there was some wonderful series that came out of it, and there's some other good stuff now already, that I'm excited to read myself or continue reading. And it's just, the stories are so entertaining. They're just page turners. And it's wonderful. It gets to the point where when a series ends, you're like, man, it's over, and that's how all comics actually should be, and in DC side of things, as much as I like certain titles. Like there's a handful of titles I really, really like, and I think they're really, really good. I'm scared to death for them, because if this new Dawn of DCU or this Lazarus thing, this story doesn't work out, they just can't afford another like year that they're having, you know?
Definitely agree with that. I will say this seems like the most promising I've seen from DC in the regards of the books they're putting out. Like, I like the idea that they're not doing as much Batman. They have like things like Doom Patrol. They have, again, a Green Arrow book coming out. They're focusing a bit more on Superman. I feel like it's going to be hard for them to completely fail on this, because it's not like they're trying. I mean, they always try to reboot their stories, but it's not like they're really trying to reboot anything. They really are just, it feels like a Marvel Now situation, but maybe not as many titles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Lazarus thing is like the Inhuman story. I mean, that's basically what it is. It's like a volcano erupts and it affects everybody. It's kind of like, come on, man, where's the originality in that? And even the Lazarus stuff is green, just like the Terrigen Cloud, right? It's green also. It's like,
it is very similar.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm never excited for events, so I'm just like, we'll see. I'm like, I'll pick up the first issue.
I know my thing was, I'm not going to ditch events, but I'm cutting down on the tie-ins.
Yeah, it's funny because we talking about events, reading through Timeless, and they have that like 2-page spread of all the Marvel events that we're going to get this year. There's like 5 or 6 of them, and it's like, man, they're just like putting it out there. Oh, we're going to do this and this and this. Okay.
Right.
That was a little bit too much.
Yeah.
It's just like, so like the Lazarus thing, there's a lot of tie-ins that go into that, you know? And I'm like, you know, I don't know. It maybe, or I read the ones that I just were the titles I currently read. You know what I'm saying? So there might be that.
So there's a couple more questions here.
Yeah,
well, I'm trying to think if I feel like we went into so many topics. If we didn't touch on one in particular, but I'm sure we'll get back to those topics. Well, before I get into the next questions, Brent, did you have any more to say about DC, Dawn of DC? Because that's one that we kind of covered.
I mean, so far I'm a little underwhelmed. I'm excited that they're doing some different stuff, but like you said, I'm ready for new characters, ready for new directions for characters. We'll talk about Action Comics later. I kind of like putting that genie back in the bottle with that book, and so I think there's a lot of positives, and it could be good, but I'm a little nervous for it because when you hype up a big beginning like that, it doesn't always deliver. And like, I don't know, Birthright like started strong, and then it was like, okay, it kind of fizzled out, and everything except for the New 52 is kind of fizzled out. So I'm hopeful but hesitant, I guess.
Yeah,
rightfully so. So here is a question from, let's do Parker Luck. Says, my question to you three is this: of your favorite character, what are your thoughts on where he, she, or they will flow for you? Don't know exactly. Flow, like, I guess expand on that question a little bit. As you guys knew what they meant.
I mean, I'm just going to assume, so you can correct me, but like just where their story is going to take them this year or whatever is kind of what I'm thinking.
Well, Mayday has a book that no one can read, so because I can't find it unless even I feel like if you have that membership, it's very hard to find.
and for all of us, like Spider-Man's one of our favorites, and we've been a little again underwhelmed with that story. So hopefully all signs point to up from here, but we don't know because we don't know how Dark Web's going to end. I think it's going to hinge on the creative teams that come for that book later on in the year to determine where it goes. But I mean, right now, the way it's looking, it feels like it's going to continue on the trajectory that it is, which makes me a little, I don't want to say sad, but it doesn't excite me, I guess. So, yeah.
Great. I guess let's, I mean, Mike, unless you have more thoughts on that question.
No, sorry. I totally missed it. There was something that popped up on my computer. It was about to restart because there's an update on Windows. And I was like, oh, I don't want to get kicked off the stream and it takes forever to get back on. So I totally missed the question.
So the question was just like your favorite character. Where do you think they're going to go this year?
Oh man, that's so hard to determine. I mean, obviously favorite characters is Spider-Man, and my my thought process there is I want to get away from this event and explore what has happened to Peter in those 6 months, what has happened to Mary Jane,
Maybe
where,
much.
where is the direction going when it comes to the character. And just, there's a lot of things there that I want. Like I want a true direction for, my favorite character. And I feel like that's been missing for quite a while.
Yeah, I don't know if that's coming anytime soon.
Right. It's gonna maybe by the end of the year.
Maybe. Hey, I always try to have hope when it comes to Spider-Man.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Which I don't even. Did that come out this week? I think it did.
Yeah, it did.
See,
it
did come. Well,
I was trying to remember what happened too. Don't worry.
I was like, did that come out? And now I remember what happened, and we'll definitely talk about it. So I guess
real quick, I just want to thank all the viewers who are on the show right now. We have like 56 people, 58 people.
58 now.
Yeah, and so guys, just the easiest thing you could do is just give this stream a like. Lets people know that it exists out there. We've been trying to grow this show for a while, and hopefully we bring a good show for you. And this is, I think, a great topic to talk about. So we appreciate it, and keep the questions. We'll answer them the best that we can.
Yeah, especially for 2023 comments about that. We'd love to answer those questions. I do want to piggyback off this. So Larry B said the reason, I guess, that they're not enjoying or they're not excited for 2023 of comics. They're not going anywhere good. They don't have good writers. Look at Spider-Man, Dumpster Fire. I'm just going to read manga. It's better. I think what's interesting about audiences that love manga more, I feel like when you just focus on Marvel and DC and those are the only comics that exist, I can understand the point of view of like why it's like, yeah, manga is the best because it's serialized and it's just one creator and it's just one piece of art for as long as it wants to go. But there's other comics like that in the industry that aren't Marvel and DC. I think for comics, my answer is always, if you don't like what's going on in Marvel or DC, let's say, and again, I don't believe even from a Marvel or DC point of view that you can hate everything coming out from there. I do think there's a possibility at least like one thing, because I do think they put out different stuff. But let's say you hate everything from Marvel and DC, then just pick up an indie. And let's just say you hate the direct market. Pick up a Kickstarter book, pick up a webtoon. I think there's definitely other places you go look and try to look at a more positive view.
Yeah, I think that's why like people are like, well, there's so many Marvel comics, there's so many, DC comics. Not that there is so many DC comics, but just saying for that in general. And the reason why they do that is they try to make something for everybody. Now, whether that's working or not, who knows? But that's why they do that. It's so that there's maybe at least a comic for somebody out there. So, and the easiest thing to do is if you don't like it, just don't read it. That is easy. There's no one holding your hand saying you must read this book. Just don't read it anymore. That's all.
Look at Miles. I think that's a great example of a character we all really, really loved in the beginning. And then, there was a lot of period of time where we didn't like Miles Morales, or not him as a character, obviously, but his story is currently going on. So, I mean, of course, we were like, oh, I wish Miles was better. His stories were better right now because Miles is still awesome. I just meant his series. I wish his series was better. I wish I was enjoying it more. But I don't think we were ever in a moment where it's like, this is dumpster fire. This is garbage. Because it's just not for us. I don't believe any piece of art is garbage. It's for somebody. That person wrote it. So it has to be for somebody. It's okay. A great example is the Chasm stuff going on in Spider-Man right now. I know Mike's a little bit more on the positive side of it, but like, I don't really like Ben Reilly, but I would never say, Ben Reilly's a, piece of shit. Because I think there's been good Ben Reilly stories. I think that no matter what, I'm trying to think of a character that has done that. There was a character, probably was a Bendis book, where he introduced a character and it was much better by another writer. I'm trying to think of which character that was. It wasn't maybe it was Ironheart. I feel like, it was Ironheart, where he's like, oh, like we didn't love the way he wrote Ironheart, but then someone else took Ironheart over, or even Silk. Like we didn't, I know we didn't love the way Dan Slott wrote Silk
Wasn't it
originally. And
maybe Ironheart, like Zeb Wells wrote Champions, and was
yeah,
Ironheart
exactly.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but yeah, going back to the original, conversation there is definitely something out there for somebody, right? And if you just feel like comics are not your thing anymore, then unfortunately, don't read them. I mean, and if you like manga, then go for it. But there's got to be something in comics that you would find enjoyable. And
it's like saying you don't like TV or don't like movies.
You're right. And I guess that's why we exist, right? The YouTubers, the comic book community YouTubers that can help promote comic books, whether they're not good, whether they are good. There's a ton of different opinions out there. You take it for what it is. You try it for yourself. You're the one at the end of the day that makes, that decision. We can only recommend this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But I would say if you always want something completely, somewhat different, and you want to get away from, the superhero stuff, then you try your independent comics. There could be a point where you're just like, you know what? I've outgrown Batman. I've outgrown Spider-Man, and I need something more. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So maybe, that's what it is at the same time too.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I'm trying to see if there's any other comments, but I guess, yeah, our overall question here was what's our expectations for comics? I'm going to pass it on to Brant. Overall, where do you think 2023 is going to go with, and also let me answer this question. Infamous Mike Manhattan says, hey, Kat, did you get Inferno Girl Red Kickstarter comic? How is it? I did get it, but I don't think I got it in the mail yet. I think they haven't shipped it yet. So, but I did get it, and I'm excited for it because, love supporting Kickstarters. But Brant, where do you think 2023 comics are going?
That's like such a broad question.
Oh, it is. We're gonna dig into it.
Excuse me. I'm gonna cough throughout this show, so I apologize in advance. But man, that's such a hard thing to answer. Like if we're talking like the entire industry.
Yeah, the whole entire industry, even from your point of view as an independent publisher. Because and I think we talked about this when we were talking about indie comics, but it's so interesting to see people's opinion when you come from the indie landscape or when you're just like from Marvel and DC. Because like when you come from a Kickstarter landscape, just to give, a thought process for people who just read Marvel and DC, this is confirmed for sure. Like you make more money on Kickstarter than you're going to make it in the direct market. Like that's just going to happen. And it's so interesting that people put such weight to like, oh, this person works at Marvel or DC, or this person's working at Dark Horse, or this person, not saying there isn't weight to that, but there is weight to making profits off of your comic bigger than you could in the direct market.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, that's been proven for, the successful comics on crowdfunding, that they can do much better than some of the people get paid in the direct market, unfortunately. But like Mike was kind of saying, if last year was any indication, I think independents are going to continue to grow, and not just like the Kickstarter stuff, and like all the independent small press, your Boones, your Vaults, your Mad Cave, et cetera, et cetera. I think all these companies are going to continue to grow, all these independent creators with other opportunities and more crowdfunding sites coming out and things like that. There's just more opportunities for more creators to get their stuff out there and to get known and noticed. And so I think you're going to continue to see that surge in 2023. And as far as like the mainstream companies, it's going to be more of the status quo, right?
I don't think they're going to change.
Right. Yeah. Be big events. They're going to be a lot of Bat books, a lot of X books, a lot of Spider books. That's their model. They're going to continue doing what works for them. So
I think I was just going to say real quick, what I think comes to indie comics, like Marvel and DC, I don't think is actually trying to push to a new audience. Sometimes they do, like DC has done like the young adult stuff. And I would say DC's actually been making a bigger initiative to do it because they are doing webtoons. Marvel has not really tried to push to a new audience in any way. They have not used their movies to push to a new audience. And I think that's what indie books are doing a little better, is that they actually can experiment because they are their own boss. And I think Radiant Black is a great example of that, of making, you know, an animated thing and then doing, you know, all the different initiatives they've done, podcasts that they're doing with their new release, Kickstarter. I think it's great to see indie comics actually trying to hit different markets. And I think that's going to be the success of them. But go on, Mike.
I was just going to say, I mean, with all the ways of getting your work out there, all the, I guess, top tier writers are doing other things. You know what I'm saying? The days of Marvel and DC of being the top echelon of comic companies, that those days are over. Like, you have all these great writers that just do all their own projects now. And I feel like when it comes to Marvel and DC, there's just not as many great writers. So that's why you're not seeing the books written as well as they once were, or you don't have the editorial staff doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. You know, stories are definitely different these days when it comes to Marvel and DC. It's not the same. It's a lot of decompressed storytelling. A lot of the stories might be good, but they're not great. There's not like a lot of depth to their story. You know, there's a lot of events because I feel like these writers can't seem to, I don't know, maybe it's Marvel's idea, but I just feel like it's like, okay, it's easier to tell one large story than it is to tell a whole bunch of story arcs. They're like, oh, if we have one large event that takes 6 months long, that's easier to tell. And they feel like everything's got to be a movie or this large scale thing these days.
Yeah, it's kind of the aftermarket, the writing for the trade,
right?
You know, because that's where they make the money, right? It's you know, blockbuster movies are where studios make their money. Same mentality, and I think that's what feeds into that too.
Which sucks because if you have a boring, because it still could be a boring trade, you know, even if you bloat it, it's like, oh wait, still nothing really happened here. And you know, we loved and still love Punisher, but I think that is, you know, one of the things that's happening with even great books like Punisher or Immortal Hulk, where I love the character beats and that's why I'm enjoying it. But if you do look from beginning, middle, and end of like where it started, where it is now, nothing really happened. There's not like a lot of movement for Punisher, and Immortal Hulk, you know, was similar. But they're still great books because at least they focus on character.
See, I got this comment here. I don't know what you guys feel about this, but it says, now it seems like people go to Marvel to get a name. Then they go to make indie books when they get fans that will follow them.
Hell yeah.
To other books like Lemire. That's true. But I also think that there's a lot of people out there that start in the indies and you know, then they might go to Marvel and write something and then they exit out again. The problem is, the thing is you could go anywhere these days. It's not like you're just a Marvel writer or a DC writer. That pretty much those days are gone now. You can write anywhere you want. So it's because there's more opportunity.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, where it's not like the echelon for comic creators to go. I think there are two types of writer. There's the ones that their dream job has been to work for Marvel or DC, and that's where they go. And there's others that just love the medium and want to work in the medium and make a living off of it. And sometimes those two things don't intersect, right?
Most of the time.
Most of the time those don't intersect, and then they have to go off and do their own thing, or they choose to, or they want to tell their own story without the handcuffs and all that. Because with Marvel and DC characters, that's another problem, that because they have to stay alive for so long and they have to maintain that status quo, is that everything done to them will be undone eventually. You have to
look at Superman.
Yeah, exactly. You have to return it to that status quo, that somebody can get a fresh take on it, so you can keep that character going and going and going, and where there's more freedom elsewhere. And so, yeah, there's a lot to feed into that, but I think it's the motivation of the creators that determines that for them.
Right.
And but it's also going to money though too. I was just gonna say, like Marvel and DC, like when they made Thor: Love and Thunder, do you think Jason Aaron got like that big check because he made Jane Foster Thor? No, but if Jason Aaron, you know, that book that he has in Boom, I think it is, like the one about the apocalypse, if that becomes a TV show, he's going to make a lot more money.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things, man. It's I lost my train of thought now. I totally forgot.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. It might pop in there for a little bit, but it is one of those things where how comics are these days. It's just you have to keep an open mind. You can't let it ruin you, right? Every writer,
there's good stories out there
that takes a character, say a Spider-Man or a Batman, they're going to write their iteration of that character. So it's basically, if you don't like a writer, if you don't like the way they write, if it's not your style, then you probably might not like, the way they're writing your favorite character. So you might want to just skip it, because the days of a writer writing a specific character for years and years and years are gone. And the last person to do that, honestly, just for instance, was Spider-Man, was Dan Slott, who wrote it that long. You don't see writers do that anymore.
I mean, look at his Fantastic Four. I mean, it was still longish, but he wasn't on there as long as Spider-Man, and now he's back on Spider-Man.
Right. So it's just like, you have this epic storytelling because these creators had time to develop everything, right? So like in X-Men, like look how long Claremont was on X-Men 4, and look at what he created in his time there. But when you have a creator that writes just volumes, like Brant said, trades, right? Nothing really truly gets created or developed anymore. It just gets broken down and it starts over once again. So that's the difference between comics today and comics yesterday, right? So there's definitely a feel. That's why independent comics tend to be more appealing, because it's just a single story. There's a beginning, middle, and end, and then it's done, and then that's it. And that's why sometimes they feel a little bit more rewarding when you get done reading them.
Yeah, like somebody in the comments earlier mentioned Once and Future, and that's a great example of that. It's coming to, I think, 30 issues at this point, and it's one continuous story with different arcs throughout it, but you have that overarching story that they've been able to tell and keep it interesting and alive. So
for sure. Tavia said, wasn't Bendis on Ultimate Spider-Man for 10 years?
Yes.
He was, yeah, but that was before Dan Slott. So, but I agree. I think the Dan Slott run, I'm curious to see how long Tom Taylor will be on Nightwing, because that's been 2 years. So he's been on Nightwing for a long time.
Nightwing is good, but there's nothing that like really truly happens in it.
For 2 years. I don't know what I could tell you actually happened in that book.
Right. It took 2 years to get to the end of the Blockbuster thing.
Of dealing with Blockbuster, and we just find out who Heartless is, and there's still Babs and Nightwing just started, their relationship with each other, but nothing really happened. And it's again, it's that decompressed storytelling that just, is so much different in comics today, where it's just like, you could get in a comic in the 80s, where you could have probably about 20 of these issues that are released today in one book. It's great for I guess artwork and stuff like that, but if you're looking for stories, it's they're going to take their time in telling it, definitely.
But there's a lot of good books out there. You just gotta look for them. I all three of us love Do a Power Bomb, and it seems like a lot of people love that book. So I think when a great book comes out there, it's so electrifying and it's so great, and that's why we read the medium. And every year it's so interesting when we do our best comics of the year, and you look back at all the other years of like, okay, maybe this year is Nightwing's year, but like 5 years before it, Nightwing was even on the list. Things definitely ebb and flow.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of that best of list, because I haven't been able to say this anywhere, I was pleasantly surprised that like The Ocean Will Take Us got 1 and 2 categories. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was impressive. That was crazy.
Yeah. And Rogues Gallery the same. So that was really cool. We all really enjoyed that one.
We were talking about Daniel Warren Johnson, right? And we're talking about how writing for the big two and then go out and write your independent. So Daniel Warren Johnson is the one example that I'm talking about that wrote independent comics first before he even did a DC or Marvel comic. You know, he did that Murder Falcon book. And I didn't know him from anywhere else before that. So I don't know if that is truly his first work or whatnot, but I really enjoyed that. And then it wasn't until he did that Beta Ray Bill stuff, or the Wonder Woman Black Label book was his first work in the big two, you know? So yeah.
I do want to read this comment, which is Ultimate Power says, honestly, just because a story goes for slice of life doesn't mean nothing happened. I kind of find that rude. So I wanted to talk about the slice of life genre as a whole. For many people that are new here, I actually write a webtoon called Slice of Life. So I think Nightwing does slice of life. In my opinion, obviously everyone has different opinions on it, but I don't think it's its strongest attribute. Like, I think a slice of life story, I agree. You don't have to have the big villain to do, you know, crazy stuff to have a good story. I think Runaways is a great example of how to do a slice of life book. But by telling something really character driven. I think even, I don't want to say Dark Knights of Steel is a slice of life, but it actually leans more slice of life than it does actiony, but still progresses the story a little bit better. And I think with Nightwing, my problem is that the characters don't grow, because even a slice of life for me means that you have to see something with the characters that are interesting. And yet, I mean, if you really want to go slice of life, like anime slice of life, you can watch people just have dinner and that's interesting. And I find Bendis, when he's at his prime, does slice of life really well. When you're just having two people talking about a subject and you're engrossed by that subject. I think with Nightwing, they talked about the same subject over and over again and never actually expanded on anything. So I feel like, yes, it's a slice of life book, and I love slice of life books, but I don't know if it does slice of life fully correctly.
Yeah, so with Nightwing, and we talked about it on this show before, and to Mike's point, with the decompressed storytelling, I feel like in 2 years we've only covered like a week in time in Nightwing. That's what it feels like. Yeah. And with I think the character moments between Dick and Barbara are really good. They're really fun. Enjoy them quite a bit. But what that book has suffered from for me is, and as we've talked about before, is the jumps to different story beats to tie into different events and getting away from what the actual book is about, which was this whole thing with his sister and with Blockbuster and that whole story arc that we were introduced to. And it had to be sidetracked a dozen times throughout this run, to the point where we, like I said, we just finished up those Heartless and Blockbuster storylines, and relatively a short time has passed in this very long arc. So that's go ahead.
Absolutely. No, I'm sorry. I just the character growth in Nightwing is its weakness. The character moments are really good, and but
sometimes they're not always good. What
I like about Tom Taylor's writing is when he has those emotional moments, and I think we've all said that even before Nightwing came out. That's what makes a lot of his books so good, right? And I love character growth, right? And that's what makes a book really, for me. That's kind of like how The Walking Dead was so good for me, because when you look at the characters when you look at the characters in The Walking Dead, look at how they were from the first couple issues to when that series ended. Right? They're completely different characters. That is great character growth. You look at, another book that's really good, Strange Academy. Look at the characters, the way they are right now, from the way they started to the way they are right now. So, and how many issues did we have of that? We're only on issue. This third issue of the volume?
Yeah, so like 21.
Yeah, and it's ending in 24 issues. So we're getting a whole story and the character growth is completely different compared to Nightwing. So that's what I'm trying to say, when it comes to the book.
Mass Panther asks, do you guys think Tom Taylor is like Bendis 2.0?
No, not at all. Completely different. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And I don't think that's good or bad. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Bendis is decompression. Again, when it's really good, and I look at the example of one of my favorite Bendis books was when Liz Allen became like kind of Firestar in Ultimate Spider-Man. And what I love the opening of that book is that it's just Liz going to the mall and talking to Mary Jane and just saying she's not feeling well. And you know, it lasts almost 10 pages of Liz Allen just saying she's not feeling well to her friend. But there was something about it that kind of built like that anticipation of like what's going on with it, Liz Allen. And obviously by the end of the issue, you find out she's a mutant and that's why she wasn't feeling well. But it's like when Bendis does it great, he does it great. I don't think Tom Taylor decompresses as much, honestly. Like, I don't think he sticks in a scene as long as Bendis does. Right. And honestly, I think Bendis, Tom Taylor kind of follows the rules of writing a little bit more than Bendis does. Bendis is literally like, I want to tell this scene, so I will. I don't think Tom Taylor tends to do that as much.
Bendis shouldn't even have an artist in his books, because he covers it up with all the freaking word bubbles, right? I mean, it's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I love when a book has character growth. And when a book just sits there and stalls for issue after issue after issue, and it doesn't have any meat to it, that's what frustrates me, you know? And I'll say this right now, and when we talk about the comics, I'll get into it more, but honestly, Amazing Spider-Man, the main story with this dark web, nothing happens.
No,
when you have an event, especially where the main meat of the story should be in Amazing Spider-Man, there needs to be something going on besides two people just talking and kind of fighting with each other.
But they're also talking about nothing. Like, I feel like, again, going back to good slice of life, I think a good slice of life is the Mary Jane and Black Cat Beyond issue. That's a great slice of life issue where it's just them hanging out and having a mission together. And what's really, it's just their friendship that is the glue of that book. And, you know, the miniseries kind of did similar, but I think there was a little bit more plot in the miniseries because there's more issues that they have to tell. But yeah, the Spider-Man book, like, I mean, we'll talk about that issue, but they don't talk about anything. It's just Ben Reilly being like, I hate you. I'm going to fight you. And
I hate you. You did this to me. No, you did it to yourself. No.
Don't make me hurt you, Ben. Don't make me hurt you. And it's just like, this is what we have. Like, this is an event. And that's what's frustrating about it. Like, an event means something is something bad's got to happen. Like, something major's got to happen, and there's just nothing happening. And it's so frustrating to read that, you know? It's like you expect something like that maybe in the first issue of the event, you know? You get the build up, they meet each other, and it's just like next issue, you know, Chasm versus Spider-Man. And then you get to that point and it's just like nothing happened, you know? So, but yeah, I think for the most part, Marvel doesn't write for comic book readers anymore. They write for the speculating market. They get more money from them.
I could see that. I think there's sides of it they do that for. I think obviously the covers, but honestly, I think DC did it for a while a lot more with Batman. Like, I mean, obviously James Tynion's Batman was so popular, but a lot of it also was because of the spec market. Like, I think that really pushed his stuff was Punchline. Any new character that showed up is like, oh, you need to have in your collection.
Yeah, I agree. I think what started it was the variant covers. And Marvel was like really the first ones to really push those variants, and DC didn't really do them. And now you see DC is almost just as bad. And with their variant cover, you know, they charge an extra $1. Now you do get better card stock,
which is nice.
Right? But still, they do that now, and they have multiple covers. Now you're seeing the independent comics do it as well. You know, you see them have multiple covers too.
Well, I mean, it makes you more money, honestly.
Yeah,
that's why we do.
I know you guys have multiple for yours, right?
For sure. I don't. There's no regrets. Like, coming from a business standpoint, like Yeah, if
It's
you want the
smart
industry
money.
to survive, do variant
Yeah.
covers.
Right,
Oh, I mean, I'm number one guilty
Yeah,
of
you buy a
doing
lot
it.
of them. Yeah.
I buy a lot of variant covers because, and I think I said this before, when you look at comics, right, they're almost like trading cards. It's like you buy it a lot of times for the cover art. Now, I recently got this. I recently got this comic from Scout that I'm going to be talking about soon. It's called Wannabes, and
Yeah, I heard about it. Yeah.
yeah, and so, but look, variant covers, right? And it's a connecting cover, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, well, you know, if
Well,
I want the full picture, why not buy both pictures? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
And
it just that's how they get you, and that's how you make more money that way.
And a
Yeah.
lot of times, I mean, even if you're making a cool variant cover, I don't think it ever sacrifices story. Like I do truly believe everyone's still trying to write a good story from, yeah, I mean, look at that. That's such a great cover too.
Power Rangers and Turtles.
Look, Radiant Black does it too. Everyone's been loving Radiant Black, but you
Yeah.
would not be caught dead saying Radiant Black is just doing it for the spec market. They're telling good stories, but also they're just trying to sell their books. It's like,
Right.
and what's so funny, not funny, but someone mentioned Spawn $2.99. Let me see if I can get that comment. The reason Spawn could be $2.99 is because they make money in other places. So they make money in their statues. They make mostly their statues and their action figures.
Right.
So Todd McFarlane doesn't need to make money off of the floppies of Spawn, but he is making fans from the floppies of Spawn. And when you become a fan of something, then you're going to spend $300 on a statue.
Well,
so
sure.
he's making an investment in himself by making it $2.99. And I saw, I think it was, I don't remember who said it. If it was you, Mike, or Brant, who mentioned that Mark Millar, he made his book $1.99 because he's like,
Yeah, I think it was
I'm
Mike,
experimenting. I'm just experimenting with it. I want to see if people buy it. Let's just see. I have enough, he didn't say I have enough money to do it, but he does. He has enough wiggle room to experiment. So, yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing. Like, I'm a Spider-Man fan, right? So Spider-Man will have 3 different variant covers coming out. And if one looks cool, I'm going to buy it as long as it's not astronomically priced. Like, my shop doesn't do that. They don't overprice just regular variant comic books. But if there's another one that's $3.99 and it looks cool, and I'm not going to lie, Ben Reilly for Dark Web, I think he does look cool. So it's like, oh, I'm going to buy this one, So it's smart. I'm not going to lie. It is smart.
But it does feed the spec market, absolutely.
Sure, it does, especially the ratio variants.
Yeah, for sure. Going back to that comment though, I did want to say that, like, I don't think any of the writers at these companies intend to write for the spec market. I think they're trying to tell interesting stories from their point of view. But again, going back to editorial and the overall, direction for the company, and there's that influence. And again, that's why a lot of writers go do their own thing because they have that.
This is an interesting piggyback off of that. So Eduardo says, doesn't Marvel and DC have enough money? As a company, yes, but from their floppies, no. So unlike Spawn, who's owned by one person, every initiative he does, he's making money off of it. It's his company. From Marvel and DC, is not one person making money. So the comic section is making a certain amount of money. The movies are making a certain amount of money. Disney as a whole is making a certain amount of money. The writers are getting paid a certain amount of money. So for Marvel and DC, if something's selling, let's say 40,000 copies, that actually they might be not making much of a profit. So yeah, that's why they have to fight a little bit more than a Spawn, which maybe in the long run, Spawn's selling less copies. But again, he's making money in so many different areas. Sure. If you look at his Kickstarter, he made millions of dollars on one side. Or let's say the Spawn and Batman comics sold probably very well. Him giving the rights to DC, probably that deal in general probably gave him a lot of money. Yeah. So that is one person. So a Mark Millar who's doing his indie book can do something like that. A Marvel and DC can't because it's a company.
Right. It's just like a Walmart. Right. That's the way you got to look at it. Why does Walmart sell toys for cheaper? Because they make so much money elsewhere, like in their food or something else, where they can lower that cost. You know, it's just you said it perfectly. Example, McFarlane's got so many different revenue streams that in the comic side of things, he can lower it, right? To get his comic book out there to other people to hopefully make it a gain in the future.
And then Tevia says, what about DC making mainstream news, like, you know, Son of Kal-El being on CNN? It helps sales for them. I know most people are like, oh, Son of Kal-El didn't sell well physically, but it actually sold really well digitally. So on Comixology, it was like one of the, because again, it's a different audience. People that are reading Son of Kal-El are probably not direct. They're probably not, Wednesday Warriors. They are probably only buying Son of Kal-El, and they're probably going digital to read it. So I think there's all different markets as well. And then, promotion is promotion. So, yeah.
Tevye made another comment that I was confused by. He said, I didn't think DC had editors.
They definitely have editors.
I don't know where you heard that, but that is definitely not correct.
You can probably open up one of the DC comics. And
that's what I was just looking at. Yeah.
So if I have a question for you guys. So if you had a wish list this for 2023 for maybe a particular comic that you would like to see or get better, what would that be? I'll let Kat brew on it for a second since you have yours, Brandon.
Yeah. So somebody actually mentioned asked us this question earlier in the show, if we know any news about Transformers and G.I. Joe. Now that we know that they went to Skybound. They haven't announced any plans with them or anything, but I would hope that we would see something fresh and unique done with one of those franchises, if not both. That's my hope for that. As far as like a character that I want to see done differently, I've already talked about it. I want to see a different direction for Spider-Man. I want to see no disrespect to the creative team on it, but I would love to see Jed MacKay write Spider-Man. I'm sold on Jed MacKay's work so much from the last couple of years that's the book I want to see him on now. So.
Yeah. For me, I think it's just an overall wish of comics that people would look at the industry differently. I think it's a shame that most people that buy comics only look at Marvel and DC as success in comics, or I just wish that the direct market and the way we look at the direct market wasn't the only way people saw comics. I think I wish more people expanded their mind and be like, oh, there's other comics out there, successful comics. Because I think the weight of success, a lot of people are like, oh, if you're published by Image Comics and you still, again, behind the scenes, let's say you made $0. Somehow being published by Image Comics is more success than you making $100K on a Kickstarter. It's funny. I saw a Gangster Ass Barista, the comment somewhere in the chat, and someone's like, oh, I'm going to get Gangster Ass Barista, which is going to the direct market. But like, if you look up at a Pat Chan Kickstarter, he's, I would say, my opinion, one of the more successful comic creators because of how much profit he can make off of his books. So I wish that more people would see that and open their minds to other types of comics.
Did Skybound not get G.I. Joe? Somebody said that somebody else got it. Maybe it did go somewhere else. Let me see. Last I had heard, they were in talks with it, but
I'm not sure.
All I know is that IDW lost it.
I'm not sure who. Well, if anyone knows in the comments who has G.I. Joe, let us know.
Last I heard, it was going to Skybound. I know that they were in talks with it, but so anyway,
I like this. I want my Black Cat on the bus now. So what I would want, obviously, is like I said earlier, I would love Spider-Man to go in a different direction. But here's what I would want if I was looking for a story: Jed MacKay to write it. I would want, and some people might hate this, I would want Peter and Felicia to get married, and I want them to be a team up book written by Jed MacKay, and I would want to see that.
Jed MacKay writing Black Cat, I will buy every day, all day.
If it's written by Jed MacKay, I would have some hope for that book because he writes so well.
He wrote the Black Cat book beautifully. So for him to have her, continue to be written, she could be married to Peter and they could have adventures together. And I think that would be kind of cool.
I don't necessarily think they need to get married.
I think they do.
But well, that's fine.
Because then you have a marriage and
true.
people would be like, well, MJ and Peter are not together. Okay, fine. I'm over that shit. Like, I get it. Like, Marvel never wants it. It's not going to happen. There's no reason to bitch about it anymore. So let's just move on from it and have them with somebody else that's got powers. Well, now MJ's got powers, but still, who knows how long that's going to last. But it just makes sense that, it's Black Cat's turn for Peter to be with her again and have them hook up and be together. So that's what I would like. I would like to see that. I think that would be cool. And on the DC side of things, I know there's Green Lantern books coming back out and stuff like that, but I need to see Kyle Rayner back. I need to see him back.
Yeah.
And I would be very excited. I'm excited that there's a Green Arrow back as well. And then I just want independent comics to just keep growing more than they have in these past couple of years. Because like Kat said, you should not measure the success of comic books based off of DC and Marvel. That's not it anymore. It's just not what it is. There's comic books everywhere, whether it's on the internet, whether it's through Kickstarters, whether it's through any
manga's a comic book.
Yeah, manga's a comic book, even though people don't want to say, well, it's not the same,
They're different cultures, but you can have somebody who is from Japan, right? Write a comic. Would it be a manga or would it be a comic then? Like if it's still in the American market, but they lived in Japan all their life, wouldn't it be the same story if they gave an independent comic? The only difference would be that you're reading it a different side,
Left,
Exactly.
Right. And then the other thing that I would love to see is I just want overall sales just to be good. I just want
get new readers.
Get new readers. That's how you're going to get sales to increase, right? Is you need to write as well for the next generation of people because we're getting older. We've been talking about comics for quite a while now. Like, shit, I was in my 30s when we started talking about since we've been on YouTube. I'm fucking 47 now. I'm getting old now, and my kid's 15. He's with comics. My daughter doesn't want anything to do with comics. And it's just like, we need to do something. And somehow this medium has to continue. It's tough in this digital age, so they got to write stories for the next generation. And maybe that's what they tried doing with all different Marvel and, the new 52. And it didn't work out. So what are you going to do now to get new readers on it?
Continue your webtoon Batman because it seems like it's doing pretty well. I saw another comment. Hold on, give me a minute. Isn't manga longer than comics? From what I understand, a lot of manga is released in magazines first. So like chapter, they're pretty much like floppy comics. So they release 22-page books like through the magazine and then they'll collect it in a manga. So a manga is just a graphic novel. But most of the time they're like the same size as a comic.
Yeah, you always see them in little volumes, right? They're just like little
digest size.
Digest size. Yeah. I mean, and then they collect it in a deluxe edition or whatever it is. Like, I don't read much manga. I'm not against it. I just don't read it. The only thing I read was Berserk, the first volume, but in a deluxe edition. Absolutely amazing comic book manga. And I wish I had like the time to read it off on the side to buy the other volumes. I just don't. But I'm not saying they're not bad. I mean, they're good. It's just more stuff for me to read,
Yeah. My wife loves manga. She's got a bunch of them. Yeah.
So, well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's, a nice little lengthy conversation of kind of what, way the comics are now, what we're hopeful to see in the new year. I just wish that another thing is I would like in this. I don't think it's going to happen, but I wish DC would lower their price of their comic books. I think that would help them a little bit. I think they are overpriced for what they are.
I would love to see less of these $7, $8, $9, $10.
And they have a lot of them.
Yeah, they do.
You know,
but across the board, it's hard when you're buying so many comics each week.
Yeah,
and I understand, like, if you buy Kickstarter books here, but that's a whole different conversation.
That's different.
That's a whole different conversation. Yeah,
you know, comic books have always should have been that affordable medium, and they're getting to the point where they're not. So if you're publishing 50 something comics a month and you're charging $5 a book, you know, you can't try those books.
Yeah.
And if you charge $3 a book, maybe there's more likely you can buy a few more books, you know? So, but now when they're this expensive, you have to be picky choosy. Why publish 15 Batman comic books when they're all $5, $6, $7 a piece? Like, you're going to pick, what are you most likely going to pick? Probably the main title, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, you're not going to buy all those spin-off ones. So it's just, they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot there. There's only so much you can charge when people are like $8 or $4. I'm going to go with a $4 one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back before we move on, I looked up Daniel Warren Johnson. His first thing was a comic that he self-published called Space Mullet.
There you go.
That's right up his
alley,
alley, though.
Yeah. So, and that later got released by Dark Horse, but he did like 4
How
indie.
old was it?
2012 was when he started.
He's been at it.
Yeah. So he did like 4 indie comics, and then he got the Wonder Woman, then Beta Ray Bill, and went back to Image after that.
So when did Murder Falcon? When was that released?
That was 2018, 2019.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There was one before that at Image, in a year before that, called Extremity that he did, and then he did a Dark Horse one called The Ghost Fleet before that.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. It's good to know.
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. So yeah, guys, that's some of the stuff that we're looking forward to for the year, our hopes and dreams. We'll see what happens. You guys can continue to put up stuff that you hope for in the new year as well. We're going to discuss some comic books. So we appreciate you guys being on here. 66 plus viewers.
I think we got to almost 70.
Yeah. And we appreciate it very much. Like I said, it takes 2 seconds. Just hit the like button and, you know, it goes a long way.
Yes.
All right. So let's continue here. Let's talk about the comic books from this particular comic book week. This is an interesting one. I'm going to tell you, I actually like this issue of Action Comics.
I do too.
Because
it wasn't an Action comic book issue. It wasn't an Action comic book issue. It was mostly Joshua Williamson's new Superman book.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I love this story. I love the Lex Luthor stuff in there, and I loved kind of like how we're forgetting about how everyone's forgetting the identity of who Superman is and who Johnny is. And I think that makes a very interesting story there because everyone knew that John was Superboy, right? And they all knew that he was gay. And so now what happens is nobody knows that he's Superman anymore. So what's going to happen with that relationship? Like, is he going to have to be in the closet again? So that for me, that made it very interesting because it's like he can't be as publicly known because people know that Superman is with Jay, right? And so what if John is with Jay? They're going to be like, whoa, why are you with Superman's boyfriend? So I was like, that's quite interesting there. So I'm curious to see where they're going to go with that whole thing.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that aspect. I think that's
I didn't either.
Interesting. And again, might make their relationship more fascinating. Yeah, I think that's going to be cool because I've been a little iffy with the Secret Identity coming back. So I'm like, oh man, I've seen this before. What can you do?
Yeah.
But if you add layers like that and tell an interesting story, I'm game for it. Yeah, I like the Superman stuff. It kind of felt classic. I like Lex Luthor in it.
Yep.
I like the art. And I'm like, oh, I'm actually pretty excited for Superman issue 1. I think the only downside of this book, and this is more coming from a critical standpoint than a cat standpoint, but it's that if you really like Action Comics, this is not an Action Comics issue. If you're really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in Action Comics next, they only teased those other series for like 2 pages.
Yeah.
The others, it's just really a Superman book. So I don't really know why they called it Action Comics. Why didn't you just call this like Superman issue 0?
No, you know.
Yeah, it's comics.
It's 1050. They got to sell it somehow. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it too, though. I thought it was a good story. It was the best of the lead up to this new era of Superman. That, you know, because I've been reading since it came back. I've kind of been sticking with it, and it's just been kind of like okay. But this was good. This was solid storytelling. I love the way that it was done to get the secret identity genie back in that bottle. I thought that was clever. The way it was, even like down to the lettering where they tried to talk about it and there was empty balloons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Everything about it, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really well structured. And the way that Perry, when he realized that he basically had a heart attack because he couldn't deal with the information or not knowing or whatever it was. And like the confrontation with Lex having to admit that the world needs a Superman, just all really good stuff. And for the most part, the art was solid, except for like one of the end stories. I didn't care for it as much, but yeah.
And going back to, and if I remember correctly, because it's been like a week since I read it, but going back to the queer narrative of John, I actually thought it was interesting that Perry didn't react greatly, or he was getting a heart attack, so we didn't really know how he was going to react to it.
We don't know what he was reacting to exactly.
But I thought that was I feel like Joshua Williamson wrote that arc, and again, John and Jay, the most interesting I've seen them yet, and it's only it was this one issue compared to like 18 issues of Tom Taylor's Superman. Like this intrigued me more than even just like the way Jay was presented in this issue. He was just more interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, going back to the identity thing with John, is like he was actually excited that nobody knew he was Superboy anymore. He was like, "Oh, this could be a good thing," you know. And I'm like, So again, that narrative I think is going to be very interesting when it comes to their relationship going forward. So good book. I was like, wow, this is the best Superman book I've read in quite a while.
Yep.
So very good stuff. All right. Let's talk about, I didn't buy this. I didn't even see it at my shop.
I'm surprised. I was shocked. I was shocked you didn't buy this one.
Maybe I just saw it was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and I don't know.
You read that first one.
I don't think I read the first one either.
You didn't?
It
was really good.
Yeah, I don't think I did. No.
Man, the first one would definitely get the trade. I will say this one, and maybe this is good for you. I think you need to be a bigger Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, because they dropped a lot of like characters, and I was like, I don't know who that is. And it's very much about them like being friends now. So, and it's what's his face?
Casey Jones.
Casey Jones, thank you.
Yeah.
Casey Jones, he becomes like an evil Power Ranger. And I was like, all right, there's some interesting beats here. I still like the first volume a little bit more so far, but definitely some promise.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it though. I mean, it's Ryan Parrott that writes this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's his last Power Rangers book.
Yeah, and Dan Mora. I mean,
Dan Mora, I know. Dan Mora is doing the art.
So gorgeous. Yeah, I really enjoyed that first volume. So, you know, obviously high standards and everything. And this is just the first issue. But already, like you mentioned, Kat, the direction that they took with Casey Jones, like he's fighting Karai from TMNT, and he gets pulled into a portal. And next time we see him, he's an evil Power Ranger. And it's like, what happened there? What's going on? And so, yeah, it's again, they're friends now because they had that whole interaction. Last time the Turtles were Power Rangers. This time, you know, it's going to be a little different, but you're seeing like the similarities. You got Jason and Leonardo connecting. You've got Tommy and Raph connecting and stuff like that. So, you know, Donnie and Billy, it makes sense. It's a good fit. gorgeous art. I really enjoyed it, and hopefully it just continues to get better, and hopefully it's as good as the first one was.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I probably still won't read it. I don't know. Power Rangers. I guess it's what it is.
I think you would enjoy it, though, honestly.
Yeah.
That's what got you into. That's what got Brant into reading new Power Rangers stuff.
That's right. That's true.
That volume.
Do you like the dark metal characters? If so, which character is your favorite?
I mean, not really, but I guess you would have to pick the
I
Joker
have
who laughs or whatever.
No, I don't like the Batman who laughs. I mean, he's cool, but I like the Batman Green Lantern one. He was the Bat Lantern. He was like super dark. He created this like black ring and shit. It was pretty cool.
I kind of remember that.
Yeah.
I didn't remember. I dropped the.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, we're moving on now.
To blame you.
No, it's fine. We don't have to move on. I'm just saying I don't know enough about the metal characters to care. So,
and that's okay.
Talk about it. It's fine.
No, there's not much to talk about.
It's just the one character I remember that stuck out to me where the issue I really enjoyed. So I'm gonna go with that one.
Yeah. Serenity said there is a Turtle Power Rangers book. Yes, there's two of them. This is the second one. Yeah, the first one was a 4-issue miniseries, I think, and then this is the follow-up to that. Yeah.
All right.
And I don't think Dan Mora didn't do the first one, so it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, right.
But he did Go-Go. He did. That's literally how he made his name.
And he's done a bunch of the covers too. So
yeah.
I have about 100 of those toys / McFarlane DC multiverse. Crazy. Yeah, there's a ton of them, man. Yeah. Jeez. All right. Let's talk about Timeless issue 1. Listen, I like Timeless the last year one. This one, no.
I wasn't a fan of Greg Land's art. I mean, I don't think it was horrible art, but the story's boring.
It was just.
I actually really liked it.
You like this one?
Yeah, I really did.
I did not. I liked last year's a lot better, and I felt like they did a better job last year of giving more of what was going to happen in the universe. That's what I liked about it. This one was it's surrounding with Kang dealing with these
this missing moment.
Excalibur people.
Yeah, it's the Knights of Camelot kind of thing. Yeah.
And so I don't know. I didn't like it as much. The last year's for me was just a lot better. I'm glad you liked it. What did you like so much about it?
I don't know. I thought it was well written. I felt like
Jed McKay.
Yeah, it was Jed McKay. And I felt like this was the first version of Kang that like I could really connect with, or I don't know. He made Kang interesting, which is a hard thing to do in my opinion. I don't think Kang as a character is that interesting, but the way that he wrote him was interesting to me. And this whole struggle to find this missing moment, and like he knows he's a villain. He embraces that. And I thought that was kind of refreshing that he's like, no, I'm not a hero. I'm a villain, And I liked the whole Camelot thing. I thought it was an interesting way to go. And now I'm like really curious who this Merlin character actually is and what this missing moment means.
See, I want to know what that is.
Yeah.
That I found interesting. But I just felt it was too it was a very long and lengthy book. And I just felt like
I did read it in 2 sittings.
It was it was very repetitive. You know what I'm saying? It just seemed like, let me meet up with this guy and I'm King and I'm gonna find a way to beat you, and let me it just felt very the same, and that's I guess that was my issue with it. It wasn't like it was a horrible book. It's just I felt like last year's did a better job at explaining what was going to happen in the Marvel universe and Kane exploring all those things, where this one was him kind of falling into those moments and you just saw like glimpses of it.
Yeah, that I agree with. I think the main thing to take away from that was here's a few random teasers, but really we're focusing on what happens in Avengers, which was the disappointing thing because none of us are reading Avengers, and it's like, that's where this is going to continue.
No, it's not just Avengers. It's Avengers. It's Sins of Sinister. It's Dark Web.
Well, yeah, I mean all the events that are coming out this. Yeah, but I mean that last page is like the missing moment saga continues in Avengers. So yeah,
and you're like, oh,
yeah, exactly.
So okay, that's cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it, though. All right, let's see. All right, so that takes us to our number 5, and I'm just going to say my number 5 was actually Action Comics. So it was good enough to make my top 5 this week. Definitely, I love when a book can surprise you like it did, and it definitely surprised me. So what was yours, Brant?
Mine was Exterminators, number 4. Is it 4?
It's the penultimate issue.
Yeah. It was just fun. You know, that's what I have with this book. I thought it was better than last issue. But kind of explaining the outfits and stuff made a lot more sense this issue. And I like the fun that these characters have together. And, I don't care that much about the plot and the Dracula stuff and all that. But I just like these characters interacting and the fun that they have. Really, that's all there is to this book for me.
I also like that they got outside of the, their adventure to go to like the baseball side of the X-Men. I thought was a lot of fun. And
yeah,
I agree. Just them interacting with each other is just a blast.
That felt more like classic X-Men stuff to me too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciated that. Yeah, absolutely.
So there was moments in that one I like. For me, this was my least favorite. I think that was
last issue for me. Yeah.
I think because this story should be over, and I feel like it ended last issue, and I feel like now I feel like we're dragging it on just a little bit now. Okay,
we definitely are after this issue, yeah.
And it's just like, okay, well, I think we should be done with this, and I was just like, okay, are we really going there with like condom jokes and pee fetishes and stuff like that?
But like, it's a grindhouse book. That's why I'm like, I'm fine with all that.
Again, up until the last issue, I was fine with all of what they had to offer. And I feel like here in this issue, it kind of just, I don't know, it just pushed it a little bit for me. And I felt like it should be over at this point. There's no real reason to carry it on anymore.
One more issue.
Yeah, one more. But I'll read it. I'm still reading it. I'm not going to drop it. It's entertaining, and the artwork is
the artwork's gorgeous. Yeah,
all the characters look amazing in it. You know. So, all right. So what is it, Kat?
Yes, my number 5, because I read 9 books, is Amazing Spider-Man, and the only reason it's my number 5 is I actually thought the artwork was very good for an action-heavy issue. I love the art, the story on it, and I guess the cliffhanger was interesting enough with him going into hell. I thought that was interesting. I'm like, oh, maybe we'll see where that ends up going. But yeah, the rest of the book is what we've talked about.
Yeah.
There's nothing that happens.
Not really.
No. Well, again, except the cliffhanger. I don't even think that's going to be that big.
I wasn't even sold on the cliffhanger. I was like, whatever.
Spider-Man goes to hell, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But everybody has gone to hell.
That's my point. Yeah.
That's the whole thing of this book. And my thing is this series reminds me a lot of King in Black, where everyone had to deal, all the tie-ins had to deal with them dealing with a symbiote dragon. And here, everyone's going to limbo. So it's very much the same thing. Yeah. And I just, oh my God, I was just so frustrated by that. And just with them and all their talking heads, but not really doing anything, and no substance and no real reason for this event to really exist. Like, this issue really took a turn for the worse for me when it came to the main book, because I was like, okay, I'm enjoying it in the beginning because it's the beginning portions of the story, right? But now we get to this issue where you're expecting this big badass fight, but they never really fought. They never really did anything, you know? You get to see kind of how cool Chasm is, you know? I mean, I think he looks great. I think his power set is kind of cool, but there was nothing really that happened. Like, if you want something to happen, do something to Peter that is going to disable him or hurt him, or do something where you're going to care that, you know, kind of like what Batman was, what Failsafe did to Batman, right? When you were reading that book, Batman had no answers for Failsafe, right? And that's what kind of made that book so good. Where with Spider-Man, it's just like, we're going to have a talking match with each other, because Spider-Man doesn't want to kick Ben Reilly's ass because it's his brother, basically, right? And I don't know, there's just nothing there. And it's the same with Jean Grey, Madeline Pryor. It's kind of the same thing. It's just like, she can't attack the X-Men, so she's got to make Janine and this Hallows Eve character, and you know, it's just weird. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of off for me. And the Miss Marvel tie-in was absolutely horrible. That was just completely pointless.
I didn't love that.
It's so weird because, again, I liked the motivation of, not the motivation, the how Madeline and Ben connected, because they're clones, right, of these very popular characters. I thought that was cool how they had that in common. But someone earlier, like at the beginning of the show, mentioned how they destroyed all the stuff they had built up with Madeline, and how she's grown through the X books in recent years. And I do agree with that, because she had become a completely different character, and like magic gave her the reins to Limbo,
right?
Because she trusted her and all this stuff. And she like basically like, nah, I don't care about any of that anymore. I'm gonna kill everybody.
So didn't that just come out of nowhere?
Yeah, it did.
And that's the thing. Like, for Ben, I feel like at least there was a kind of a build up. Like, there's an accident that happened to him, and his memories are messed up. Where with Madeline, it just felt out of, I don't know, it just feels out of place. I get that they have a common ground, but it's just, I just feel like it's not enough push for Madeline. And it's just, I don't know, it's weird. It's weird. But if you can, it could be a weird team up, but if you have a solid story that goes with it, then, you know, you can overlook it. But there's nothing really going on. Like, if your best thing is a demonic mailboxes chasing after people in the streets, then I feel like that's a little bit of an issue, you know?
It's an event for the sake of an event, sadly, like most events.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's still time. Hopefully it does get better. Hopefully there's something that comes out of it, you know? So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, honestly, before we move on, the only thing that I honestly probably have gotten out of this is the Gold Goblin story. I'm enjoying that. And I want to see where Mary Jane is going with this whole power situation. And I find that interesting. So out of this whole thing, that's what I'm getting out of this.
Yeah.
All right. So that's good. We just talked about Amazing Spider-Man. So that's done. And let's move on to, all right, Brant.
I didn't get to read it, Mike.
Oh no.
But it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So not a lot happened. We get to see the main character who was explaining his case once again of what happened.
And this is the Nice House on the Lake. Yeah. Right.
No, it's just Plush. I moved.
Oh, no, I did read that. Okay.
Okay, go.
Yeah, no, I did read that. Okay.
I moved Nice House on the Lake because I realized that you didn't check it off.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So you did read Plush. So what did you think? So what did you think? Like, all hell went loose in this jail cell now.
Yeah, but it was like in a completely different way than I expected based on the end of that first issue. It's like, I thought that, like, yeah, some of them were furries, but I thought maybe like there's some that aren't, and like it's some kind of alien creature or something.
It's
they're
a
monsters.
weird book.
But no, it's just furries that human people in costumes that are eating people for some odd reason that's never explained.
Yeah, and they asked him to join, like, to be a part of them.
Right.
They give him an ultimatum. They're like,
yeah,
you can either have a shitty life with this girl that you don't love,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or you can live with us, or come with us, or you can
and
die.
be a furry.
There's this
Yeah.
3 options.
Yeah, it's either that. If you don't come with us, you're dying tonight.
Right.
No way about it. So either come with us and eat people, or die.
It's a decision to make.
Right.
Yeah. But it was crazy. I mean, it
was.
I'm still gonna read it. I'm continuing on.
It is like very morbid, very gory, but at the same time, it's like I kind of want to know what happens.
Yeah, it's intriguing, right?
Yeah, it is. It's very interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's different.
Interesting book, yeah, for sure.
All right, let's move on to number 4. What is my number 4 this week? I don't even know. I forgot. DC versus Vampires. The conclusion. Yeah, very, very good conclusion. You guys weren't reading it, right? Correct?
No, I didn't read that one.
So a really solid series for the entire year of 2022. Literally came out 1 issue every single month. And basically, Nightwing was in charge of the vampires. He was the vampire king. Guess who had to kill him? Babs.
Oh, damn.
Yep. And
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Not only did she wind up killing him, but she sacrificed him herself to be the new vampire queen.
Wow.
So in order to change rulers or whatever it was, overall, it's a great story. If there's, oh my God, are you for real? I
already
every week.
Yeah, I
new
say
2023.
Yep, the first one of the year. I say if you guys want to buy a trade and you're looking for something to read, buy that. I think
it does sound like a good one.
Entertaining. Yeah, it's really good. Really good stuff. Cool. So fun book. I'm happy the way it ended. A lot of twists and turns, and yeah. So, Kat, what was yours? Number 4.
I was Action Comics, where we talked about it.
Right. And Brant?
Mine was Strange Academy Finals. Not a lot happened in this issue, but the stuff that did I thought was really cool. So they got Calvin back, and there's that whole thing, kind of accepting him back in, and then Emily's team trying to, kind of sway him over and give him the coat back. And I thought it was really cool that he didn't want it and he didn't accept it, and kind of blew that off. But man, you talking about the character growth from earlier in the show, Emily. I mean, when she first started, she was just like, I wouldn't call her shy, but she was just kind of, inside her own head and dealing with that and having the relationship with, oh God, what's his name? Doyle. Thank you. And that whole thing. And now she's just like this maniacal ringleader of this group that she thinks is heroic, but is totally evil, as Calvin calls her out for being. So really good stuff there. And of course, shenanigans ensue with the carnival, and they accidentally unleash Shumagor on everyone. Yeah. Funny stuff there. The only downside of it was the whole council thing that started the issue.
Yes. I agree with you. That was what it held it back a little bit.
Right.
It took a while to get that issue going.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. They could have broken that up a little bit better, or like dumped it in the middle or something, sent us right into the kids at the beginning. Would have been better, I think.
Yeah, I love this book, and you hit it on the head when we talked about the character growth with movement in the comic.
Right,
there's a lot of things that happen, and I think what makes it even more oppressive is that there are a lot of characters in this comic.
Yeah,
and they have all grown in their own way. And Scotty Young has done a phenomenal job at doing a great balancing act. And that's the difference between him and then Tom Taylor's Nightwing, right?
Yeah.
So,
or like we talked about Transformers earlier. Like there's so many characters in Transformers, and everybody sounds the same. You can't follow any of it.
Yeah. No one has their own voice.
Yeah, but this is completely the opposite of that. So yeah.
All right, cool. So did I do Cat? Did you go?
Yeah, for number 4 I did.
Okay. Brant is the one that was different. Okay. So let's go on to Murder World Spider-Man issue 1, which is all one story. They should have just did issue 2.
They really should have, because
when they do this, this does not make sense why they did this.
Spider-Man was hardly in it. His family was hardly in it. There's 2 pages of Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. But the book itself was good. I like how they introduced another character who is a wrestler or MMA fighter, I should say. Yeah. And you know, she's trying to survive, and she's doing whatever it takes to survive in the ring there. And yeah, they had to fight against like Spider-Man and stuff like that, which was kind of cool. I try to remember what happened at the end of this one.
Let's see. I know they were going into the winter, and then they realized they were not outside. I remember that part. That was towards
Black Widow is following them.
Yeah, the Black Widow.
That's right.
They picked that back up. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, Black Widow is trying to find Arcade and everything that's going on. And who was she? She was communicating with somebody, and they couldn't provide her with the information, and she got super pissed off, and she slammed down her laptop.
Yeah, it was the X-Men, right?
Oh, I don't remember who that
Wolverine
was.
is the next issue. So
yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was.
And they were like, we've got other important things we were dealing with Krakoa, and she got upset about that.
Yeah. So I like this issue. I like this issue a lot as well. I think it's a really interesting story. Something I wasn't expecting to be this way. Yeah, so definitely a solid book.
I didn't love this one, but I guess it's not for me. I was expecting some Spider-Man in this issue.
after the first issue,
but the first issue was just called Murder World.
But
I don't think there was
it was called Murder World Avengers.
Yeah, but that's a cop-out because everyone's an Avenger. So I was like, I didn't really think about like, the Avengers weren't here, because if you have any character, they're there.
Yeah, I mean,
but at least they were there. This was 2 pages of Spider-Man.
I'm not looking for Spider-Man when I'm reading Murder World, though. That's the
after the first one,
yeah. After reading the first one, I know it's kind of like this thing. I'm looking forward to the connection of Black Widow. That's what I'm looking forward to, on how that whole thing is going to turn out.
Yeah, I like that. I don't think this one was as strong as the first one, though. I do agree.
I agree.
I like the first one a lot more.
The first one was great.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
Yeah.
Everyone's an X-Men, but you at least have to be a mutant to be an X-Men.
That's true. Yeah, you don't have to be a mutant to be a teacher at the X-Men school, because Spider-Man.
Yes, true. But, or at least a substitute.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it wasn't quite as strong, and I don't think I like the characters that we followed in this one, but they weren't quite as interesting, or they didn't pull you in as much as the ones in the first one. But I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed the overall story. I still like that we're focusing on these random people that are just, fighting for this prize and fighting for their survival. And again, the Black Widow thread that, pulls from her series. I like that as well. So.
Gotcha. All right. So let's talk about, what do we have? Murder World? Or Once Upon a Time at the End of the World.
Mm.
Yeah. That was the book I was thinking of. No, that's a Jason Aaron book though. That's Jason Aaron, right?
Yeah, that's Jason Aaron. Yeah. I like this book. I think this book is really good.
Yeah, I do too.
And Kat, you don't read this book, right?
No, I read the first issue and I didn't.
You didn't like it. This one got into their relationship a lot more, and that's what I liked about it. That was really good. Where we have these two, where she's part of this ranger group, and she's supposed to follow this regimen in order to find the Oasis or whatever it is, the good place, and she can't bring anybody along. She has to be, very vigilant, and you know, the boy wants to go, and she keeps saying, no, go home, go home, go home. And as time goes on, you get to see her warm up to him. They start like watching TV together. He makes meals. And at first she thinks that he's like useless, but he's actually very valuable out there. But then at the same time, for survival skills, he's, you know, surviving in certain situations. He's not so good, and she has to rescue him.
Yeah. There was a funny sequence where she was like, next time you're about to get eaten or whatever, I'm just going to let you. And then you see like over and over again how she saves him. And it was kind of touching and endearing. And then the Christmas thing.
Yeah,
it kind of culminated with her waking him up and saying, "Have you heard of Christmas?" And she gives him a gift, and she starts to realize that these rules that she had been following all this time may not be the best course of action for her, and she starts kind of adjusting them to her new viewpoint of the world. And it was really good.
Yeah, she actually starts to have like feelings, like emotions, and then at the end we wind up finding her group. Yeah, and that might make for an interesting story. I really like this book. This book was interesting in the first one, and it got better in the second one. So
I agree.
It's the characters. These two characters make it. They're complete opposites, and obviously they've grown together in this apocalyptic world. And sometimes that's really hard to do, to just have a book focus on just two characters and make it interesting, you know. And I think Jason Aaron has done a good job with that.
Yeah.
All right. So let's next. Moving on to number 3. Kat, what was your number 3?
Mine was Exterminators. We already talked about it.
What about you, Brent?
Mine was Action Comics. So we already talked about it.
And mine was Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, or End of the Earth, or whatever that. Such a long name. I don't like the name. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that. All right, so let's talk about the next one. We have She-Hulk issue 9.
See, I'm glad that we were on this week because I wasn't sure if we would be. I'm glad we were all able to make it, and because this is what I was talking about with Rainbow's storytelling. I feel like this is where she's starting to say, like, remember all those things I said in these past issues? We're actually getting somewhere. And we really get somewhere in this issue where we get to see She-Hulk, find out who the villains are, and Jack, sacrifice himself. I thought that was a very classic Rainbow issue, in my opinion.
What'd you think of it, Mike?
I thought it was very predictable.
I liked it. I thought stuff happened, and I
knew
enjoyed
exactly what was going to happen. Like, and the funny thing is like, we spent all that whole issue getting to know these characters, right? And then right away there's this fight, and then right away here comes Jack, and right away Jack sacrifice. Like, I knew that is what he was going to do. Like, it was just all over the issue right from the very start. Is what happened? Is he dead now? Like, what happens? Did he absorb all the radiation and he doesn't have his suit, and that's the end of him? Like,
I mean, I'm sure he's not dead, but I do think we're gonna have a twist with him.
Because now She-Hulk can't be around him anymore and stuff like that. So, like, what's going to happen with that? I think that makes for an interesting question.
Yeah.
But as an issue, I saw it all over, right, from beginning to end. As soon as they started fighting, I knew that's what it was going to be.
I mean, I'm somewhere in the middle of both of you. This wasn't my favorite issue, and
I didn't hate it though, Brand.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Yeah,
I didn't
absolutely.
And she did break the fourth wall in this one by tearing.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool page.
Like that,
old school She-Hulk stuff.
Right.
I really like that. But I like Kat. I'm more familiar with Rainbow's writing from Runaway, so I kind of know where we're headed pace wise.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
And this is starting to ramp up now, because we know this is now the start of ramping up. And that's what I appreciate. I'm like, okay, now all that buildup is gonna start happening. And also another thing I always appreciate with Rainbow, and something I don't think mainstream comics do enough, is actually look at every She-Hulk story that's ever happened, and it's all valid. Literally, you have the breaking of the fourth wall in one beat, and then the other beat saying, "Oh yeah, a whole year you didn't talk. You know, you were a Hulk, but only
just
lasted
because
a
you
year.
wanted to. Yeah. I
Yeah,
thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought like that was cool because again, there's not many comics that do that anymore. Where literally comics that make no sense to be together still being in continuity, and she does a great job of that here.
I agree on all those points. So.
Good. I mean, like I said, it's not like I didn't like the issue. It's just there's just, and I know you guys are more familiar with her writing. There just seems something quite missing for me in this comic book. I can't really pinpoint what it is. Like, I don't know if it's the lack of outside interaction, because I just feel like it's like Jen Walters, Jack of Hearts, and now these two characters, and nothing else exists in the outside world. We've got introduction to like the law firm briefly, and that's really it. That's all she's interacted with. And that's what I find, I think that's what bugs me about this. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. And I like the comic, don't get me wrong, but it's just, I feel like there's an element missing from it.
And I think it's just her pacing style. And
right.
I think with whatever's happening with Jack now, I think maybe that's when you're going to see other characters pulled in to that narrative to figure out.
Because literally, she's got to talk to somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully, it's not just, oh, there's another character that's going to come in, and then, and then that's that.
Yeah. He usually doesn't introduce new characters that frequently. So I'm actually looking at issue 10.
There was one issue
Titania is going to be in. Actually, look, special appearances by Absorbing Man, Julia Carpenter, and Dr. Doom, and Titania.
Yeah, see, that's what. There you go. Okay. There was one issue too that had another character that was in it that she was talking to. I forgot who it was.
Yeah,
was it Hellcat?
Yeah, they had lunch or cake or something like that.
Yeah. And that's what I miss. Like, I want to see more of that. I want to see her be Jen Walters and interact with those other characters. When she interacted with Hellcat, that was a good scene from what I remember in that comic book. And and when she interacts like with her lawyer, her boss or whatever, district attorney or whatever it is, I thought she was, she was good there. So that's what I want to see more of. I want to see her interact with others, the environment, that stuff there. And I get what you're saying with the pacing. Like, it's kind of just like, it seems longer than what it actually truly is going on in that book, So we'll see. Yeah. I'm always going to read it though, but just because it's Jen Walters, that's just, how it goes. All right. The one book though that I couldn't stand was like Tamaki's run on She-Hulk. That was just,
I remember liking the beginning of that run, but as it kept going on, I'm like, where is this going?
And she was weird, man. That was weird.
It seemed like it was going a different place, and then
it
went the other way. It was like, no, that's not, not what I like anyway.
Yeah, we'll see what happens as She-Hulk goes along, though. It's curious. I like talking about it, though.
Yeah.
All right. Punchline, the Gotham game, issue 3. I think I'm done with this. I think
I understand that.
Yeah.
Because reading this one, I'm like, do I really need to finish this?
Right.
Yeah. And I love Punchline, and I think the overall story is interesting. But then it was like this tied into Catwoman number 50. And I'm like, I'm not reading Catwoman.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to go read Catwoman.
Yeah. It just randomly tied into that issue. And I'm like, really?
And it was like a major thing. It's like, this guy's having reconstructive surgery.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. It took a step down this issue for me too. I can totally see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm just like, again, this goes back to that New Year's resolution, right? Yeah. If it's a comic I'm not really enjoying,
yeah. No,
why hold on to it?
Yeah, I get it. And it's like the second issue, like we talked about, Batman is already on her trail, and then Batman's nowhere to be found in this issue, and now it's Bluebird attacking her. It's like, okay, surely that ties into past stuff, but
Yeah,
she just appears on a bridge out of nowhere, like, I'm gonna take you down, Punchline. Of course she doesn't. So it's like, what? It was very random, this issue, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I was expecting something a lot different. I thought, again, the original first issue was good. I thought the second issue was okay, but yeah, this one was just like, yeah, that surgery with freaking Professor Pig was wild, dude.
Yeah.
I thought you said Peppa Pig. I don't know.
Peppa
When did
Pig,
she
yeah.
show up? Maybe I should read this
That would
book.
be a different kind of.
And then she makes a comment to him like, "Oh, maybe he'll be okay with a mask on."
Yeah.
Like when he was getting that surgery, like his wife or whatever. It's so weird. That's a shame too. No one's gonna care about Punchline.
I know, it's so sad because visually she's a really cool looking character.
Yeah,
and she could have been someone.
She could have been.
I think it was a mistake to get her to get away from the Joker. I think if she was the next like Harley Quinn in line and truly like idolized Joker, how like she was created to be, I think that would have been good to continue that. Now right away it's like, oh, she did one thing with the Joker and she went to jail and now she's just on her own again.
I did like what she said in this issue, which was, I'm not trying to be the Joker, I'm trying to get his clout. I did like that. I like her motivation is a little bit different than Harley's. But again, there's just, like you said, there wasn't enough of her to justify that yet.
Yeah.
And she's got way too much power for way too little that she's actually done.
So. Right. Like, look how long Harley Quinn was around for.
Yeah.
Right? Long time. It's like, here we get Punchline, who's here, and she's one story arc, and like we said, it's like, and now I'm good. I can be on my own now. Screw the Joker. And it's just like, man, that's rough. And it's just like, again, we talk about character development. A character is not going to be any good unless we develop the character. Yeah. So, it's unfortunate, but we'll see what happens. She'll be around here and there, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So let's move on to number 2. What's your number 2, Kat?
Mine is Power Rangers and TMNT. We already talked about it.
All right. And Brant?
Mine's actually timeless.
I'm sorry. Sorry to disappoint you guys. It's timeless. Mine was Strange Academy Finals.
Nice.
Yep. All right. And then number 1 this week, I have a feeling maybe it was your guys' She-Hulk. Was it She-Hulk for you?
Mine was She-Hulk. I don't know if it's
Brant's.
No, mine was Power Rangers TMNT.
Oh, okay. And mine was actually Murder World.
Damn, this is like, it's been a while since all 3 of us had different picks of the week.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Also, I do want to mention Midnight Suns being a penultimate issue. Blew my mind. I'm like, what? Did this series even start?
I guess I didn't get it. I must have missed out on it.
Yeah, it came out this week, and
you didn't miss a lot.
The penultimate issue. So
there wasn't. I mean, there was one like key thing that happened in it, which
really,
but it wasn't like a whole lot of momentum,
right?
No.
So
I didn't even realize it was ending already.
Exactly. I know.
I think that's the point. Yeah.
Thought it just started, and I'm like, oh, I was just getting into this team, and now knowing it's a mini series, I'm like, I don't know. Don't know if I could recommend it as hard as I did for issue 1. I'll still obviously finish it off. There's one more issue.
Right.
So
that's a shame, man.
Yeah.
That's like Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Thunderbolts was this week too, and that ended, but it's like it abruptly ended because it's just like, oh, we got to hurry up and close it all up, and then it's done.
Yeah, and then they're like, you'll see the Thunderbolts throughout the rest of the Marvel universe here and there.
Yeah, sure.
They literally said that.
It was such a bad ending.
Yeah, it was really disappointing, and I won't talk about that anymore. Did you read all Out Avengers, Mike?
Yes, I did.
Out Avengers.
Yeah, did you enjoy that one?
I think so.
I thought it was funny that Hawkeye kept losing all his outfit.
Yes. Yes, that's right. He's in the ship, and he's just like, "Damn, I lost another piece of my outfit." He's like, "I look ridiculous."
Yeah.
There were some good moments in there in that book. I think that book is actually not bad.
No, I enjoy it. I liked that the Hawkeye thing was like the other perspective of what happened to the women in the 90s all the time.
Right.
Their outfits would just inexplicably get torn to pieces. So they're in a bikini. Yeah, so
and I find it interesting, like they can't remember everything that's going on. And then you got the villain revealed at the end, the last page, which you don't know who he is.
It's some god or something.
Yeah, it's something weird like that,
Right.
But yeah, All Out Avengers it's a pretty okay comic. It's all right,
Yeah. Speaking of Hawkeye, much love and thoughts for Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, I saw. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a really tough situation. I heard that and I was like, man, oh man, that is unfortunate for sure. Hopefully.
Not RIP. He's not.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, he actually posted.
Someone in the comments said RIP.
No.
Not dead.
He actually posted a picture on social and just said in the hospital. He's like, can't really type, but thanks for all the love. Basically,
he looked like as good as you could for what happened to him.
Right.
He went through a lot there. Hopefully. He has a successful recovery, and we'll get to see him again. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy stuff. All right, so let's I'll hand it over to you, Brant. Let's talk about our top 3 most anticipated comics.
Yeah, so let me toss that up there. Let's get into it. Let's we only got a couple of books that kind of cross between us. Let's just list them all, and then I'll call out some and do a little bit different this time. So we'll start with you, Mike. Just list your 3, and then we'll get into it in a bit.
Gold Goblin issue 3, Batman issue 131, and Dark Knights of Steel issue 9.
Okay, and Kat?
Yeah, my number 3 is Batman, 2 is Radiant Pink, and then 1 is Dark Knights of Steel.
Okay, and mine are Secret Invasion number 3, Captain America Sentinel of Liberty number 8, and then of course Dark Knights of Steel number 9. So we'll save that one for sure. All right, so Radiant Pink, you really enjoy that series?
Yeah. There's not a lot of books coming out tomorrow. I don't know if another week it would have been in my anticipated, but I liked it. I didn't love the first issue, but I definitely liked it. I'm curious to see where it's going to go.
Yeah, gotcha. And Golden Goblin, I think we're all kind of coming around on, right?
Yeah, the last issue was like with the Queen Goblin. I thought was very interesting.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that because he finally gets the revelation of where his sins went, and he finds out who the Queen Goblin actually is. So. Right. That's a very interesting story, and I love seeing the continued psyche of Norman Osborn as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. For me, Secret Invasion, I really enjoyed that second issue. I thought that was so strong, and in this issue, it's still focused on Maria Hill and somebody close to her. She finds out is behind the whole thing. So I really want to see where that goes from there. And hopefully they continue focusing on that part of it. Both of you had Batman. So let's talk about that. We're done with the fail-safe stuff. And now we're moving on to the next thing. So
ended on such a big cliffhanger.
Yeah,
it did. It really did. And now we're going to get to see what Chip Zdarsky's MO really is with this comic on what his plans are. I think we're going to get a different artist though. Jorge Jimenez is not the artist because we're getting Nemesis Reloaded from Mark Millar.
Right.
And he did that book.
Okay.
So,
so you're getting that new artist on there, which I'm sure is
so it's Mike Hawthorne. I think he's the one who did a lot of maybe I'm wrong, but I think he did a lot of the Ghost Maker stuff. I think maybe not.
That would make sense because I think they're gonna go there in this, aren't they?
Or did he do Green Lantern?
He might have done. Well, I guess we'll see when we
I
read
think
it.
Grant's
What
trying to
style it
look it up.
is.
Yeah, I was
let's
trying to see his art style. Let's see.
Mike Hawthorne. I also
Art.
like what he's done. He
Yeah.
did. I feel like he's a newer writer artist from what I'm seeing.
There's the Wikipedia. Yeah, not a whole lot of G.I. Joe Origins.
He
Queen
did some
and Country.
Deadpool, some Superior Spider-Man.
Okay.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah. I looked at his art. It's not bad. So we'll see. Yeah. But yeah, we're all enjoying Batman, so that's good. All right, and just real quick, Captain America, Emma Frost comes into the book.
Oh, is that this issue?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
this issue.
That's
right.
exciting.
That's like why I had to put it on the list. So especially like you said, not a whole lot of books this week. So it's like Emma Frost.
Edgewater,
Yeah, I'm there.
Edgewater. So what about Fantastic Four issue 3? After issue 2, I can't say I'm excited for issue 3.
I'm gonna read it for sure.
Yeah,
I'll
read
read
it,
but I'm not
excited.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the one that we all agreed on, all our number ones actually, which is Dark Knights of Steel number 9.
I mean, it's been such a long time. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it did come out last month, but that cliffhanger, you had that in your best of, I think, with Supergirl's mom.
Yeah, I did, and yeah, that was huge.
Oh, that's right. That's how it ended, right? They were
Right.
basically Supergirl was drowning, right? And who got fried? Someone got fried.
Somebody got fried, but somebody stabbed. Yeah, with God, who was it that got killed?
Was
Did
it
they
Wonder
reveal
Woman?
about the Martian Manhunter? Let me see. Who got killed? I'm trying to look up the page.
I don't even remember what I remember picking it. I'm like, somebody.
Look.
Was it? Oh, it was a Hippolyta.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm looking it up. I got it. Yeah, you're correct. It was Hippolyta.
Yeah. So that.
But then you obviously know it's not. It has to be
because Superman's mom fried her.
Yes, but
yeah,
was it? You know.
You're right.
No, I think it was.
Well, it could be like a Martian Manhunter.
Because they're the ones that put the whole drowning thing on Kara. I think it was.
Well, maybe it could have been legit her then, and maybe she's just angry. I don't know. I'm curious. I feel like we're 9, 10. We're like, I think 3 issues away from the ending of this.
Yeah.
At least this arc.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it though, man. It's pretty good every single time it comes out.
Yeah. It's got those twists and turns.
Yeah, the Martian, Larry says. That's what we've been saying though this whole time.
Yeah.
Like Martian Manhunter's like the instigator of everything.
I forget why I wasn't excited about Scarlet Witch. I think it had to do with the creative team.
I think it's the creative team.
Yeah. And also I feel like it's a little too late. So we'll see. I'm getting it though.
Who is? Let's see. It is.
I think it's
Steve Orlando who did. Oh, what did he most recently do that I didn't love?
He did Marauders.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. That's why I wasn't excited about it.
Yeah.
That explains it all now.
This is one that I might give 1 issue to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to try out the first issue,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I'll try to keep an open mind, but we'll see.
Yeah. And somebody mentioned Joe Fixit, and I mean, that's coming out too.
I might try it. It's Peter David, and I might want to support his book based off everything that he's gone through. You know,
that's true.
I've never been interested in that character though, so I'm probably gonna skip it. I haven't either.
It takes a lot to get me into a Hulk book, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all our most anticipated.
All right, and then that's it for our show.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you guys for all sticking with us through the entire evening, and hopefully if you watch this post live, we appreciate you watching it just as much. And of course, guys, we'll be back next week. Are we all here next week?
I think so.
As far as I know, yeah.
Okay, so we'll all be here next week, barring anything that happens. So, of course, guys, if you love this stream, most importantly, please give it a thumbs up. Like I said earlier, definitely helps. And then if you like it even more, just subscribe to both channels, Comic Book Corner 2.0, Comic Book Weekly. Make sure if you want to watch every episode of Comic Book Weekly ever, you can watch it right there on back to back on the channel itself. Don't forget to hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss when this show goes live. And of course, you can follow us on the social media stuff, Facebook, Twitter, not TikTok, Instagram,
No, not
YouTube.
yet.
And yeah. And of course, guys, like I said, as always, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. We're going to do the wave. Happy New Year and happy new comic book day officially today.